Okay, some food and a little bit of finagling later. I think I finally got it on there. I ended up using a bit of solder paste, just dabbing just a tiny bit on all of the tiny little pins. And I think I got a nice good connection now. I think there was a little too much solder on one of the pins, but it will be fine. So let me just kind of look. I did check it under my eye loop and it looked good. Despite this being a microscope, it doesn't really get that close. So it's still a little wet from the IPA I've been brushing it with. Those four are good. And, well, those five are good, and those five are good as well. Yeah, that one pin right there has just a blob of solder on it, but it's connecting. Now, I was curious to see if it's possible when I put the faulty chip back on, that it was possible that it didn't make full contact, so then it sort of displayed a false reading. Or when I put this U11 back on, the symptoms it displayed were not true to form, because it's possible that those legs were not making good connection. I can't rule that out as a possibility. The only thing I can do is put this faulty U11 on my junk board and just test out the charging. I don't think any of those junk boards post. Maybe one of them does, but for now, I know that one. I did check that one off circuit, and it is still grounding. The positive line is still shorting on pin 4. So I am fairly confident to say that that U11 is at fault. So now that I got all this back together, I'm going to just do continuity testing again. The battery contact is not shorting. It wasn't shorting over that capacitor, nor is it shorting to pin 4. So now I'm not going to put it back together, but I will put a power board on it and plug a charger in it. And if the orange light flashes, that's a pretty good victory. Whoa, hello Wi-Fi board. So it's probably not going to pull register a voltage draw, but the orange light will confirm to me that the charging circuit is at least better. Oh. Ooh, so now it's doing that, where it does that. Charge light turns on for a second and then blips off. Let's put it together and let me see what it looks like when the console's on. Does it charge or does it still do that? It's supposed to blink. And the charge light turning on and off like that, I haven't quite determined what that means. And it's possible that this component U11 is also faulty. I can't rule that out as well. So I'll test it with the battery in. Do we get anything? Oh. It might be possible this charge port is just bad. We're getting a draw and a solid orange light. Okay. I didn't really tag this charge port being bad. I did wiggle it. Maybe the prongs in there need to be bent up or something. Okay, now let me just try it again. See if it... Yeah, so it doesn't blink. Which it should be blinking. That's a problem I haven't quite figured out. It might just be a quirk. Because it charges just fine. It is pulling amperage and charging the console. Let's turn it on. And it's reporting that it's charging. Let me shut that window. So actually, yes, U11 was faulty. I'm proving that right now. What's most perplexing is the blinking light. The charge light just comes on and then off. I will make a very bold theory that that is normal. This could be an older revision. Let me look at the board I pulled that component off of. It was this one. Okay, so I ended up... It was from this one. This one uses... So, this is going to be sort of a crackpot theory. So here's the board I pulled off U11 from. It was a different board than what I used because I broke the legs off of a couple... Irrelevant. The one that's in there right now is from this board. Seeing how the serial number is laid out, it doesn't have the 3 extra digits on the end. Now, this one does. So, it's possible this is an older revision motherboard. Without knowing the U11 chips very well, it could be a different one. So, when reporting a non-connection, like to say that it can't detect voltage in the battery. Oh. Yeah, if it can't detect voltage in the battery, it just turns on once and then turns off. It doesn't blink. Is it because there's no... I don't know why that is. Like, is that just what those U11 chips did? Is it like a different revision of a chip? What I would have to do is just test a bunch of motherboards to see which ones of them blink, which ones of them just turn on and then off. That's a really... It's a bold kind of crazy theory, so I really can't put too much credit into it. What I am going to do, however, and I guess I can't put too much credit to that theory because I'm also noticing issues with this charge port. So what I need to do is just take a step back before I'm sitting here theorizing and do a reflow on the charge port. To take off the bottom screen. So it's the charge port, the fuse, and component EM1. It's entirely possible that those contacts are bad, or those solder points are bad. Happens, they crack, I think, or just get old. Whatever befalls them. So let's get back my camera here. So it's just going to be sort of touching up the solder points on all of those components up there. I do not need my iron as hot as I had to. That ground pad was serious business. You know what? I can use some of my solder paste. I don't really have enough, like, good reasons to use this stuff. Just basically put a little goober on all of the joints that I want to reflow. Maybe not that big of a goober. There we go. This will do the combination of adding more solder as well as sort of lubricating, so to speak. Pretty cool stuff, actually. I kind of bought it by mistake. To have little solder balls suspended in flux. $250 is probably not enough, it would seem. And you know what? I do have to add a little bit of flux. Or a lot of bit of flux because I'm a crazy person. So what that will do is just make sure all of my solder connections are solid. I just reflowed all of them. I had to kind of do that a little awkwardly, but get that all nice and cleaned. And then I'll try that again to see if... Oh, wrong one. Um... And then I need to see if the blinking persists, or if the sort of this non-blink scenario still exists. It might, just because that is a problem I haven't been able to nail a cause to. I see it every once in a while, but it's always associated with other problems, not just a no charge scenario. But what am I trying to say? If the orange light on then off is the exact same symptom to a blinking light, then that dispels exactly what it means. It's just the same, but just slightly different. So now I'm going to try plugging it back in, see what happens. So it's the same. It's on, then off. But this does charge on a steady orange light. The software reports charging. So I don't know if it's synonymous. Because, like, that is really strange. Like, is there, like, an onboard crystal that maybe is broken? That wouldn't make any sense, because that would ruin timings. I don't even know, like... Would you even be able to play the console like that? I have a lot of questions, but not really good answers. However, I do have an answer to a question, that what symptoms might manifest a faulty U11. Okay, batteries in. It is charging, as reported by my USB tester. Console will turn on. Can I open applications? Well, yeah, I open the settings. I'm just opening random apps. So, I'm going to have to just... I can't really theorize, but this one, to the extent of my knowledge, is fixed. Why the orange light comes on then off when it doesn't have a battery, that is very perplexing. I don't know what that means yet. Because everything that I know says that light should blink. I don't remember if I tried another power board or not. I don't even remember which power board went to what, to be honest. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. These power boards are pretty simple. So if I deploy my tester one, it's just as good as in any of my other ones. I don't think it would be power board because there's no logic on the power board. Nothing that I would say blink. And that's why I think it might be like almost like a crystal. If there's a hertz, like a clock of some type, allowing it to pulse at a interval. Oh, well, I put the battery in. That's not helpful. Oh. Hang on, what? Why did it do that? Could be a fluke. Okay. So yeah, same persisting issue. Well, it's not even, I don't even know if it is an issue. I'm gonna have to keep my eye on that. That might just be how that revision of the U11, if it even is the U11, it would have to be. Okay, yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna get a little lost in here. But I do know for certain that if the software-based indicator is charging despite not being on the charger, and there's no orange light, that's an issue with component U11. It's shorted through. It's just blown through. Not entirely sure how. It just fails, I guess, because if the fuses are supposed to protect it from surges, either a surge got through or maybe a fuse was replaced. I doubt a fuse was replaced. That's not really something that happens too often. This was one where the battery connector was just free flowing. It was broken off the board. It's possible it just touched any of these other neighboring components and just sent something to U11 that it wasn't expecting and just blew it through. That's about the only thing I can think of. So that's interesting. And as far as the charge light coming on, then turning off again, I'm starting to suspect that's normal, which is rather extraordinary as far as the information that I'm aware of. Anyway, I'll stop rambling and put that to paper, so to speak. Add it as another solution to a issue that I did not have a solution to, so a good day. And I saved a motherboard. Even if the connector is a little crispy, it works. That is purely cosmetic.